Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp as we once again have a look at some of the games coming out for the Switch in this upcoming week. In terms of dates, we'll be going from the 13th of January up until the 19th to see what's coming out, but we'll look at any games first that have crept out without being in one of these videos for whatever reason, and then we'll move on to the week at hand.
I have to say, I'm always impressed with how similar you get that start in to all the other episodes.
Oh, it's that practice, isn't
it?
Yeah. Years of practice. So which games are coming out for the Switch this week? Well, let's find out. So we'll start with a couple of games that are already out then, as I said, and the first one is a pixel platformer called Behogar.
Yeah, this is really cool. This caught my eye because we played, what was that game we used to really like? Behogar the Viking.
Behogar the Viking was a very good game, yeah.
Yeah, and this is a very similar aesthetic and kind of a similar feel to it. It's quite difficult, not as difficult as Behogar.
Yeah.
Not as linear either. But yeah, I think you'd really enjoy this.
I have played a little bit of it. Yeah, it felt... Behogar's quite big character sprites, isn't it? Whereas this is a bit smaller, maybe a little more nimble, but it has that high difficulty threshold that both games share. This one came out a little while ago, but it's one we didn't mention in any way, shape or form, and it's definitely worth a pick up. Good game, this one.
It had to happen eventually that Manscaped noticed Glen and I have glorious beards and thought we should test out their brand new product, which I'll talk about in a second. If you're not sure what it is, well, it's trusted by more than 10 million men worldwide for their trimmers, hygiene and shower formulations, as well as premium boxers, but yeah, probably not the right channel for me to show you those. As you know, we do try to promote things that we would actually use. The product I want to talk to you about is the Handyman, which is a compact face shaver, a lovely little grooming tool that delivers a quick and close shave, all for keeping things neat and tidy around the beard. The Handyman is equipped with a unique dual blade. It features a standard foil shaver as well as a long hair leveler blade to knock down up to 3 days worth of growth, unless you're Glen, and that's about 30 minutes. It also features skin safe technology, and if you have sensitive skin, that will hopefully stop you getting nicks and cuts. Thankfully, the Handyman is also waterproof, which helps making cleanup very quick and easy. It's very easy to use thanks to its compact design, and it's handy if you're going traveling as well because the Handyman's compact size means it's easy to pack with a rechargeable battery. From that, you'll get about 60 minutes of runtime from a single charge, and it'll let you know when it's low by blinking at you. Again, reminds me a bit of Glen. The Handyman from Manscaped is a nice little addition to your grooming arsenal, and because we liked it so much, we were able to actually get an exclusive discount. If you use our code, we'll pop a link in the description as well over at manscaped.com, you get 20% off your first purchase of the Handyman. That's handy. Nice one. And thanks to them for sponsoring this episode.
I wanted to mention as the second game that's already out, a title called Paleo. Now you might have seen this in one of the Nintendo Directs. It's essentially a free-to-play, so completely free to download, semi-farming sim, semi-open world multiplayer game.
Right.
And it looks beautiful. Like you can play with up to 25 players on a server. I've only put a very small amount of time into it, but I do think it's good to get a mention out there because people can give it a go completely free of charge. And it is also highly rated. Things like Metacritic for the user scores are really high. It hasn't had any critic reviews, so it's got like no score on there. So from the people that have played it, it seems it's a really good game.
Let's move on to the games that are coming out this week then, and the first of those is Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. So this, as far as I understand, is like a horror walking simulator where you play as a former employee of a toy company, and obviously you go back into that factory and strange things occur. It reminds me, in terms of its premise, of Bendy and the Ink Machine. A game that I very much enjoyed actually, and this is Chapter 1, so it's obviously episodic. This Switch version, includes graphical enhancements, gameplay improvements, new options, and additional localization support, according to the blurb, although there isn't a mention of when the next chapter comes out.
Yeah, for what? Just over £4. That's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, £4.09, and that one releases on the 15th.
Legend of Grimrock. This looks more my cup of tea, Glen, I reckon. This is an RPG adventure where you play as a group of prisoners, I think. They're sentenced to death by exiling. I mean, that's not a very good way of sentencing someone to death, is it? Exiling you to a mountain. Why do they always do this in films and stuff? Like, why don't they have these convoluted ways of killing people?
You're like the James Bond villain.
Yeah, just cut the head off. They've been sentenced to death by cutting their head off. Game over.
I suppose you'd go and check on them every so often, wouldn't you? Yeah. To see how almost dead they are in their exiled state.
Exactly. Now, it says it brings back old school levels of challenge. They love throwing these things around. But I will say it's another one, like we said before, that does seem to have been out before, and it does seem to have quite a following. At 13 quid, it's not bad. It says there's a vast network of tunnels to discover. There's lots of different spells and runes, and you can create a party of 4 different characters and then customize them with different races, classes, and skills. So it's an RPG.
Yeah, it's one of those old school dungeon crawlers, you know, like you move, they move.
Right, okay.
As far as I can see, the tagline it's gone for is it has an old school heart but modern execution. So yeah, I suppose that will give you some sort of idea as to what they're going for. As Mark said, £13.49 or your regional equivalent, and it's another one out on the 15th.
The first Turnip Boy is, people love it, you know, it's got a really nice atmosphere to it. You've obviously you've got the mayor, haven't you, who's like doing all kinds of wrong things.
Yeah, the mayor basically tells you that you've committed tax evasion or tax fraud, and then you have to kind of carry out a number of missions to try and get back on his good side. Plays very much like an old school top-down Zelda game in terms of the gameplay. Very good game, I really enjoyed it. And this sequel, Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, is out next week on the 17th.
Yeah, this one takes things into a completely different direction. You're in this large city, there's gangsters and things like that. So yeah, they've taken things in a very different direction, much more adult, and I believe this one's a little longer. The first one was relatively short experience. But yeah, very, very different take on the series.
Yeah, you'll need to be pulling off the perfect heist, purchasing an array of weapons and tools, and you'll take on whoever the bank throws at you in intense shootouts.
Now, strangely, this one's got little roguelike bits in there as well. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I did see that actually. It'll be interesting to see how they incorporate that.
Next up, we've got Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, and by the time you are listening to this, you'll have seen the review, hopefully. Very good game. Really impressed with it. Impressed by how hardcore it is. Like, this is a hardcore, difficult Metroidvania that would happily sit alongside what I actually think, things like some of the Souls games, you know, and something like Hollow Knight, the toughest of Metroidvanias. It sits happily in that group. Like, this is hard.
Yeah, what I would say about this one is, it for me at least, it's a good merge or mesh between more old school Metroidvanias, you know, your classic Metroids, and that new school of Hollow Knights. You know, it has a bit of both in there, and it has quite a vast array of accessibility options too, if that difficulty does sound a bit off-putting to you. Now, this one releases on the 18th for £44.99, but there is a bundle that comes out a few days previous to that. I think it's the 15th, with some extra skins and what have you, if you're interested.
Yeah, now we'll unlock the game early as well, so yeah.
Cut it through all of the enemies plotting, that's whether they ready or not. Better get better with time, I can't see an enemy ending the plot. My struggle came with a purpose, now I'm about to turn it down into a bird. You see, I ain't paying all that I'm deserving, I put that on every battle, I thought I had to play the plot.
So then we've got Cho Chu Charles. Now, Cho Chu Charles basically was an indie game. A single developer created this horror game that was based around this train that you ride around, but you're being chased by Cho Chu Charles, which is this other train.
Okay.
It looks almost like a giant spider.
Right.
It blew up. It became like a viral sensation. I think the end result, the actual game, wasn't great, but still, for it being like a very small solo dev, the whole idea of it was just very fresh, you know, for the horror series, for the horror genre, I should say, and became, well, a massive hit for him over on PC.
Sounds a bit like the plot to, do you remember that old film? I'm sure was it a Spielberg film, Jewel? When the man was being chased by a huge like truck in his car, like he annoyed a trucker, and then just for the rest of the film he's being chased by this truck. Sounds a little bit like that, I don't know. But yeah, £17.59 then. Please do let us know a bit more about it if you are one of the fans of it, and this one is out on the 18th.
You know, if you actually want to win this fight, you'll need some serious firepower.
Now, set in the same universe as Golf Club Wasteland, which then went on to become Golf Club Nostalgia, we've got the Cub from Untold Tales. This actually is the in that game. golf club nostalgia, you're being watched by a third party. You're never really sure who that is.
Right.
In this game, you play as said third party.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. It says here in the blurb that it's inspired by the classics of the 90s in terms of platformers. It mentions specifically games such as The Jungle Book, Aladdin and Lion King on the Sega platform, so they were kind of virgin games, I believe, back then. But it has a few modern twists and ideas.
Yeah, it looks nice, this one. Hopefully we can bring you a little bit more about it if we can get our hands on a code.
This one releases on the 18th and it will sell for £13.49.
Propel me. You cannot buy or sell me. I move through life like water. No.
And finally for the week then we have another code, Recollection. Now this is a bundle, a remastered bundle of the 2 games in this series, one of which released for the DS back in the day and the other for the Wii. I played the DS one actually, I never got around to the Wii one. Very good game.
Yeah.
Really very innovative in terms of some of the puzzles it had you solving. You played as a young girl named Ashley, who in that first game at least, I can't remember the full details I must be honest, but you ended up meeting a ghost and you had to try and help this ghost remember the memories of its previous life, you know? And as you explored, you came across various puzzles, and some of them really did make use of that DS dual screen functionality and touchscreen very early in the DS's life.
I wonder how that would carry over. I know there is a demo available of this one as well, isn't there?
There is indeed, yeah, and the sequel, as I mentioned, the Wii game, which was called Another Code, Journey into Lost Memories, is also on here. Yeah, that will be interesting to see how they, certainly with the DS game, how they adapt it to still be playable on a console that doesn't have those features. But I am really looking forward to this one. Having never played the Wii one, having loved the DS one, it's nice to have both games. This releases on the 19th and it will sell for £49.99 or your regional equivalent.
Who are you?
The sequel, Another Code R, Journey into Lost Memories, previously unreleased in North America, is also included.
So this is like Juliet, huh?
Play both games to experience the...
So there you have it, that's another week of Nintendo Switch releases. Do any of those games interest you at all? Please do let us know in the comment section below.
If you want to save yourself a bit of money on any of these releases, in fact, around 10%, 5% instantly and 5% back in coins, use code SwitchUp over at switchup.gg to buy your eShop credit.
Lovely. A quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.